Hi, Dick Rochfort here. This is 574 Mike Alpha. It's a G1000 NXI equipped Piper M500. And we're in the descent into St. Louis, SUS. And we've elected the arrival and the RNAV 26 left for training purposes. Oops. No need to look at that right now. There is something that you may not be aware of if you're working from an arrival to an approach. It's an intersection called Mansec. Just kidding. It's not an intersection. And we know this because it's 6 letters, not 5. Manual sequence. That's a Garmin phrase for you can't get there from here. You got to do something different. So once we come off the arrival, if we want to get on the approach, we got to do something different. What that means is that as we approach the end of the arrival, CSX, or even before then, if it's convenient, we're going to ask for direct the initial approach fix for the approach, or vectors to final, or whatever it is we want. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do we know that we're not going to get vectors to final? Why have we loaded the full approach? The answer is it's easier to activate vectors to final than it is to activate or load vectors to final and then find out that it's easier to go direct chat. So we don't know all that, so we've elected to load the full approach after the arrival, including the course reversal, even when it's optional, with the understanding that now we can take that hold out of there. If we hit the clear button, they ask, do we want to remove the hold? We're going to say no to that. But we could take it out with 2 pushes.
November 101 Kilo Papa, Kansas City Center, Club maintain for hold.
Furthermore, if we're promised vectors to final, we can cover the final approach fix, tap menu, enter, which will activate that leg from Chad to Favog. And that way, when we do get the vector to final, and he tells us we're 3 miles from Favog, fly this heading and maintain this altitude, we can do that here, and of course here, and then arm the approach. When he uses the C word,
American 2531,
cleared for the approach. And it's just that easy. Now,
American 2531,
VNAV in the G500 or the G1000 is not rocket science, but sometimes it's very toy-like. And what I mean by that, sometimes it's more work than it is usefulness, in that we really can do it easier with a generic descent plan. When I say a generic descent plan, I'm talking about putting in a descent plan to the airport of destination or to the place where you've been asked to descend and be at some altitude, and make that descent point here, and then populate that vertical speed required up in the marquee. That, of course, needs to be changed manually. The default is not VSR, but it's easy to change that on the aux page. Having said that, we can then, with the crossing restriction, apply the rule that we have pilot's discretion, which is implied with the crossing restriction, and we could simply wait till our VS required is 1,000 or whatever it is we've programmed or planned for. We can populate that in here. Garmin likes a 3-degree default glide path. Turboprops do not. Jets do, but turboprops do not. So I recommend you come into this box with VNAV profile and modify that number to be what you want. Then if you're given an early descent, you can choose whether you're going to go down at the VS required, for the 1000 if that's what you've chosen. Either way, you have pilot's discretion, you can do that.